So we're joined with some excellent social media folks around the state of Georgia, and you have everyone's little bios here. But I think we'll just start by having everyone go down the list and just name and a little bit about what they do again. And then I have a list of questions to get everyone started, but if you have any burning questions, or if, as they're talking, if you think of anything else, you can tweet us and do the hashtag GOVTalks. It's on one of your pages in your handout as well. And they'll send me those questions, and we can ask our panel those questions as well. So without further ado, Bethany.
My name is Bethany McDaniel. I just talked to you for 45 minutes. I do the social media for Georgia Gov with GTA.
Hi, my name is Norla Ryan Flores. I know a lot of you know me. I am the social media coordinator for Turner Classic Movies.
I'm David Allen. I'm the communications and outreach specialist for the Georgia Department of Natural Resources Wildlife Resources Division. That's a mouthful.
I'm Lauren, and I like to photobomb, which is what I just did. You're welcome. I'm Lauren Cleland. I am the voice of Explore Georgia on social media. I run 12 social media accounts for the state of Georgia, and then 11 for our visitor centers. So on a total, I run 23 on a daily basis. And then I travel the state educating our partners in cities and rural communities on how to use social media to promote their tourism product. And today, this makes me feel like we're on The View, so I called Whoopi Goldberg. It is Barbara Walters. I just decided that. Excellent. Just kidding.
Lauren, I'm going to start off with you then, with your 23 social media platforms. Can you tell me what is one tangible benefit you've gained from using social media?
We've talked about it a lot today, but allowing it to humanize us as a government agency. I get to emerge as somebody's friend. They get to come to me and ask for personal questions. We've all been to a website, and in the Contact Us form, it's a form. And when you see that form, a lot of times you decide, I don't want to put my information in here because no one's ever going to get back to me. Well, social allows people to send me a personal message or Explore Georgia and say, I'm staying on the coast for a month. I'm going to Savannah, but what are things off the beaten path I can do? So then I can tell them, you need to eat hoagies at this place and see the art installation in Hinesville and give them something really special. And then they come back a month later and send their pictures from that experience, and they tell all their friends, and it becomes this beautiful full circle experience. And that's what social allows us to do, is just become an actual friend, someone that they trust, and someone that we can provide valuable information.
Would anyone else like to chime in on that one?
I would also say, and I agree with Lauren, I think that this idea of humanizing an experience with, in my case, a brand, and in your case, the state agencies, is really important. But the other unique thing that you have the potential of doing is building communities. And that's what I really focus on. When people come to the TCM Facebook page, I really welcome them into that community. And when I see bad behavior, I go out of my way to try to discourage that. And when I see great behavior, I go out of my way to support that. So I think that the digital space is a very cold space for most people. You don't feel connected to others. And so the fact that you can reach out, whether you're in the Environmental Protection Division or whether you're talking about what state jobs look like and doing somewhat like what Seth Stuck does, that you can build communities of people who are like-minded and make them feel part of something bigger than they are themselves in a space in which they wouldn't normally expect that.
Nora, have you seen any negative effects from social media?
I am really insulated in the sense that everyone that I deal with on a daily basis really loves the brand. So I'm very lucky in the sense that I don't really get a lot of negative backlash.
David,
We do get some negative comments on our Facebook page or across social media in general, dealing with Wildlife Resources Division. We're a big community of hunters and anglers, in addition to just wildlife enthusiasts. So there's a lot of different segments of that. There's a lot of a lot of conservationists, but a lot of people don't understand the hunting community and what they do to support conservation. So part of my job is to educate the public. When we get a lot of negative feedback on, posts that just show people with a big deer or a turkey that they've just harvested, they might respond negatively. They might be anti-hunting, but the thing is to educate them and let them know that the purchases of hunter and anglers, whether it's in the marketplace, whether it's through the purchase of hunting and fishing licenses, that money is going to fund conservation in Georgia. So in a way, they actually contribute a lot more than the anti-hunting community, who just doesn't understand, that aspect of it. So.
We also get a lot of negative comments on our Facebook and Twitter as well, because we're so out there and open that it's easy for people, and you can hide behind your Facebook account, so it's easy for people to come talk to us about that. So as I said in my presentation, I have a kind of a formula that I follow, and again, you have to change, so I change it occasionally, like with Kathy, but I try to stick to my goals of being concise, friendly, informative. So I acknowledge them, I'm friendly, I thank them for coming to us, because that's ultimately what we want. I want people to come talk to me. Just because they're mad about something, it's not like I don't want them to talk to me. So even though it is negative, I appreciate that they're willing to talk with me about it, not to me about it, but with me. And then I always like to give them a point of action, something that they can do. So you're taking that negativity and turning it into something that they can do to change. And so that's kind of the formula that I use to reply to negative posts.
Sometimes negative feedback can be more beneficial than positive feedback in some cases. Remember, you're trying to humanize yourself as a government agency. When you come back and say, we're sorry that you've had this experience, this is what we're doing to fix it, let us know how we can help in the future, that is invaluable to that person, and they will come back. That Alabama page where nobody ever responds, people are going to continue to hate that state government because nobody's listening to them, and that's the problem. Nobody's listening. So let them know that you're listening. They will be so grateful.
I think that in general, a lot of the concern within government agencies to starting a Twitter account or a Facebook page is that negative feedback and what they're going to do with that. So I'd like to ask a follow-up to that, and that's, are there times that you get comments that you decide to ignore? And if so, what are the comments that you decide, what's your template for which comments you're going to respond to and which you'll ignore?
Typically, we really do our due diligence before, responding to something that's negative. With our community, we have a very passionate fan base, if you will. And sometimes we don't even have to respond. Sometimes the hunter-angler community will respond for us, say what we want to say, without us having to, give maybe a negative slight to our comments to somebody who responds negatively on our pages. So that's a really good thing. I think the community engagement is really a big aspect of that. And to your point about customer service, I mean, it's even more important on social media than, handling customer service over the phone, because that response that you do put out there is out there for everyone to see. It's not just to an individual. So when people see how you treat an individual, it does affect your presence.
And it seems like our constituents have a relationship with us, which is weird because it's on Facebook. I was on your Facebook page the other day because I'm always looking for stuff to share. I'm always looking for more content, so please send me all of your content that I can share. And there was a lady who had commented on one of the pictures saying, we posted a picture and you never reposted it. How dare you? And they commented back like, we're so sorry. We can't believe we missed this. Here you go. We're posting it right now. So she was really offended that I think it was her husband had shot a huge deer or something. They were really proud of it. And so they wanted acknowledgement. And so they acknowledged it, and it was great. And she replied back, thank you so much. We're super proud. Thank you for supporting us or whatever. So that's a great example of the community that they have on their Facebook page. It's great.
Of a perfect answer, be the enemy of jumping into the space and trying. There certainly have been times at TCM that I've had to say, we put out wrong information, or I'm sorry, that film's not showing at 5:30, it's showing at 5:45. You correct the mistake. The fact that you're honest, that you've made a mistake, that you've called it out, and that you're willing to be respectful with the community will appreciate. They're like, oh, wait, you're human. You make mistakes too. I get it. If you misspell a word, okay, that happens. You correct it and you move on, and you thank people for reaching out to you and telling you that mistake is there.
Biologists are sometimes wrong too. We had I know we had one picture that was sent to us from the field from I think it was a wildlife technician, of two snakes, which he thought were two male copperheads fighting. It was actually a mating ritual between male and female snakes. So we had to go on and correct that one. Yeah. No.
One of our audience members wanted to ask, with relation to the always being on call, are any of you able to telework or work flexible hours to accommodate that on call?
I telework normally. Well, I was teleworking 1 day a week, but I typically go in a lot more now than that. So I'm usually teleworking once every 3 weeks, 1 day at least, and then I'm out of the office in the field a lot too. So
that's the beauty of social media. It's all on your phone, so you don't need a computer, and it's actually kind of better to be on your phone because a lot of the people reading your information are seeing it on their phones. So if you're scheduling something from your desktop, it'll look different on your phone. So if I'm writing a really long narrative, beautiful prose post on Facebook and it's super long, when you look at it on your phone, nobody's going to read that. Like, that's ridiculous. And Facebook even hides it. They do see more. So I would recommend so many things that I do. I schedule my statuses and tweets. When they go out, like I said before, I look at it on my personal newsfeed to see if it's something I'd be interested in. But I also look at it on my phone to see if it works good. Works well? Works good? Well, works well. I'm from Alabama. So it's good to kind of see what your people are seeing. That helps answer that question.
Nora, you spoke earlier about social influencers. Can you explain a little bit more about them and how you find them?
So your social influencers are absolutely invaluable. If you're just starting out your accounts, I would say go, even before you start your accounts, go look for people who are talking about what you do. Are they talking about it in a positive way? Are they talking about it in a negative way? These are your social influencers. These are people who are so excited about the topic or your agency or the people at your agency that they're going to constantly be involved. I am very fortunate at TCM to have amazing social influencers. In fact, they break our news for us, which can be very frustrating. It'll go up we'll put it up on our website. In 5 minutes between the time I'm talking to PR on the phone, somebody will have broken our news for us. And it's lovely, but your social influencers are so powerful. They amplify your message. So if you can start meaningfully, not being afraid to, but start building relationships with these people and start saying, hey, what do you think of this new program we put out? This will, you'll start getting a series of bloggers who will come in to help you. You'll start getting a series of these kind of super tweeters who will be constantly putting out information. I would definitely say, if you can, aggregate these social influencers around a particular hashtag so that you can always follow their conversation. But definitely identify the people who are interested in the things that you do and that you're interested in, and the people who work at your agencies, and form bonds with them in a very personal way. It will help you so much to build this positive sentiment. And the way I normally go about finding my folks, I have a great community for TCM. They're called TCM Party. They aggregate at this hashtag on Twitter, and every night of the week, they live tweet a TCM film. So I have a built-in community of more than 200 people who aggregate at this hashtag, and I know more than 60 of them now in person. And they know my name, and they know how to get in touch with me by email. And so if something big comes down the line, and for example, if we're going to be doing something big on air that's different or new. Oh my gosh, we're going to show a film from 1998. Hair. This is so scary. Why is Turner Classic Movies showing a film from 1998? I can reach out to Will McKinley and say, hey, Will, just wanted you to know we're showing this modern classic. And Will may come out and actually say, I really like this modern classic. And all of a sudden, that negative dialogue that would have been about this film from 1998 turns into really positive dialogue about what constitutes a modern classic film. So definitely keep your eye open for example, Emma over here, right? So we've got tons of dialogue on the internet about the Holocaust, right? And so who are the people talking about the Holocaust? Who are the people who find this important? Find those people. Reach out to them, even if they're national organizations, and say, hey, this is what we're doing. How do you think, what do you think of this? How can this help us?
Anyone else? Yeah, that was excellent. How about, and then Nora mentioned a little bit about hashtags then. Would someone like to explain more on what hashtags are and your strategies for using them?
Yeah, so a hashtag is that, number sign followed by the text in one, no spaces. So, and if you've noticed, it becomes hyperlinked. And when you click that link, you are then taken to a page where content is aggregated based on a similar topic. So the idea of a hashtag when it was made, the concept is you can go to the hashtag and see only information about the content, about the subject that you're interested in. Now people abuse the hashtag and they hashtag every word, like hashtag the, hashtag cat, hashtag drank milk. And that's not exactly what hashtags were meant to do. But if you use them correctly, they're extremely valuable. So GOVTalks, you go to hashtag GOVTalks right now, you'll see people tweeting notes, tweeting questions from the sessions today. I created hashtag Explore Georgia a year and a half ago when I started the job, and now it's become a place where people constantly share their photos from their adventures around Georgia, their questions about what to do in Georgia. So I have this constant way of monitoring what people are saying about a topic that's important to me and that I'm an expert on. So that's what a hashtag is. I hope I said that right.
And you don't have to create your own. You can, but you don't have to. Like there's a GA poll for politics. So that's already there, and that's not something that just the Senate uses. It's not something that just the House uses. Reporters use that. Everyone who is interested in a legislative session can go there and see what's happening. So it's a great way to aggregate information.
Yeah, not every hashtag is going to take off either. Just, if it is something that's relevant year-round or, that could be relevant over the span of, years and years, just stick with it, and you never know if it will catch on or not. I mean, we use hashtag GoHuntGA, GoFishGA, and hashtag Georgia Wildlife. None of those have really particularly taken off, but now that we're on Instagram and we're getting people to share photos from their hunting trips or fishing trips, we're starting to see a little more usage of the hashtags, and maybe not necessarily on Twitter, but on Instagram they're being used.
Yeah, I would definitely say that when you're talking about hashtags too, that you're really targeting Twitter and Instagram, and particularly Instagram, because the way that mobile is moving is all visual. I would say that's one thing to consider with your social media strategies. What images do you have that you can call on? Text will only get you so far on Facebook. So really think about what images you have or what images you can get from others. But again, hashtags are really powerful tools for Twitter and for Instagram, not so much for Facebook. Several studies have come out that have shown that people don't really use Facebook that way.
During all of the talks today, there's a lot of great recommendations of other social media accounts to check out, so like Dunwoody Police, the TSA. Is there anyone else that any of you would like to list as a model social media account that you follow and look to for ideas?
Explore Georgia.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I paid all of them to say that. Thanks. I actually, and y'all are going to be like, this is crazy. I love Walt Disney World. Now, I love Walt Disney World because Mickey Mouse is adorable, but I also love Walt Disney World because they do a fantastic job at social. They get it. They know I need a great image and I need 1 to 2 sentences in that copy, and that is it. And I find them very inspiring. I can't repurpose a lot of their stuff. I don't have a talking mouse that I know of that walks around Georgia and spreads, joy all the time. If I find one, I'll let you know. But so they just do a great job of keeping it, like making it this beautiful, cute, quick, witty quips that I can try to emulate in my own way for Georgia. So I love Walt Disney World.
I would also say for those of you who are looking at Tumblr as a potential for getting visuals out, look to the Department of the Interior. The Department of the Interior has done a really beautiful job, right, and Instagram of I want to go to these national parks. It's really far away, and Utah's cold, but I really want to go there in the winter now. And you can create this great kind of almost ecstatic experience about these new spaces by looking to what a lot of the again Department of Interior is doing.
And NASA. NASA and Department of Interior are the federal agencies that get the most, or that are awesome, basically.
Yeah, I follow a lot of news outlets and law enforcement outlets. Just with our law enforcement division, we are the lead agency on a lot of searches on the water and in the woods. So I do try to keep tabs on what the local news and what other law enforcement agencies are saying about us, so that I can respond and know what news is relevant at the time. And I also follow a lot of other industry-related or social media accounts, in addition to other state wildlife agencies. So it just depends on what your agency does. Just following federal level agencies, other state level agencies, and industry related platforms.
Federal's huge. I mean, not that they're better than us, because they're not better than us, but they kind of have their act together in some instances. And so for social media, they're very organized. And there's howto.gov. Has anybody ever heard of howto.gov? They have a whole blog section, everything on social media. And I'm pretty sure it's in your handouts, but that's a great resource, and I'm constantly looking at them. They have webinars every week. So we'll watch a lot of those. So howto.gov, federal government.
I know, I mentioned Walt Disney World. Don't be afraid to follow accounts and get inspiration from accounts that have nothing to do with what you're doing. The best thing you can do is analyze, why do I like this post so much? Why do I like this page? Yeah, they're not related to me, but is it because their imagery is stimulating? Is it because they're asking me a question? Is it because they make me feel warm and fuzzy inside? Pay attention to your news feed the next time you log on as you scroll through and see, okay, why did that grab my attention and why didn't this? And try to emulate it on your own page.
Yeah, and there's a lot of accounts that may be relevant to what you're doing. Maybe not 24/7, but maybe one time out of the year. I mean, we follow Sports Illustrated, ESPN, a lot of Olympics, because when the Olympics are going on, there's archery events, there's shooting events. That's relevant to us, so we can kind of piggyback off of that stuff and maybe put a new slant on, firearms or archery that's not necessarily hunting related too, so we can appeal to a different audience.
Right, and on this too, I would always say, look for the most human moment that you can find. I know some state agencies, and there are 120 of us, and it's not always easy to figure out what is the human kernel of what my agency does. But really tap into that. That's what people will respond to. And specifically for Facebook, as many of you have probably noticed on your own personal Facebook feeds, Facebook is doing a lot to change its algorithms. So for those of you who probably noticed you're all on single stream now. Did you notice that switch over a few weeks back? That has significantly, that minor change seemingly has significantly affected the Facebook algorithm and how your post will get distributed to your fans. So I would say there is a ping against your work if it's not human, if it's not real, if you're trying to manipulate people to like you, if you're not being with them at the space they are, Facebook's not going to deliver your message. So be deliverable, unless you pay for it, and then you have to pay quite a bit for it. So be human, be connected, ask questions, be deliverable in that way.
You're part of your agency. Your people are important. I'm sorry, I just completely jumped in there. But I was searching through Dunwoody Police, and I love that account now. Thank you for all the suggestions, Dunwoody Police. They have a post introducing a new staff member from, I can't remember which, like St. Thomas or something, 605 likes. introducing a new staff member. The one right after that, which is like people, police officers at the shooting range or like something like that, only 99. So they care about who works there. Remember, I mean, you yourself can be content. Maybe not all of you want to be on the internet, but maybe some of you do, and you have a great glamour shot that you'd like to share. You know, where you have a cowboy hat and some sequins. Just kidding. But you're your content too. So keep that in mind. They care about who they're talking to.
Those are some of our most successful posts. Is when some of our agency staff are getting awards, getting recognized. You know, when Governor Deal highlights the public safety awards and he honors our law enforcement division. I mean, those are some of the most liked and most talked about posts, and you're never going to get negative feedback on those posts. You know, whereas, you know, we might have something that we think is really good, you know, highlighting what we think the deer season is going to be like the upcoming year, and it might not get as much. You just never know, but a lot of personnel stuff is really well liked, and it makes the staff feel good too. So.
Blair gave us her opinion earlier today on Google+. I was curious if any of you have a different take on Google+ and its relevance in social media.
I just had a discussion with my boss about Google+ a couple of weeks ago. There are some skewed statistics. I think skewed statistics as far as, you know, they say that there's 2.5 billion people on Google+, I think is the statistic that I saw. Because, everyone with a Gmail account has a Google+ account. So it's not an active community, but like was said earlier in the presentations, it does help out your SEO. We have a Google+ account because we have a YouTube page, and that's our login for the YouTube page. So basically our Google+ account just shares our videos. So it's not something that's updated every day, but it is something that you should look into and is worth having, but it doesn't need the same kind of attention that Facebook or Twitter needs.
I think if you can meaningfully use communities and circles and meaningfully use Google Hangouts, then Google Plus is a great place to be. But this is very new functionality for most people on social, and as David said, the community is way larger, seemingly, than its active base is. But if you can find really innovative ways to use the things specific to Google Plus, then do it. Because it will so substantially help your search engine optimization.
I highly suggest it for those that have a blog and an active blog, because it's going to help your authorship statistics. I don't know if that's how you call it. But when people search certain keywords and you've had those keywords in your blog, but because you have a Google Plus account, it's getting pushed up to the top. Maybe it didn't get that many hits organically, but it's being pushed up higher because Google is narcissistic. Google likes Google. They want everybody to use Google, and they're going to give you special awards for using it. So we're active on Google+. Not a huge, it's a decent audience, but they're not super active like Facebook, but I do update it every single day, and any new blog gets pushed out there for SEO purposes.
All right, so I'd like to wrap up today with a couple of questions on the riveting topic of archiving content. So what are your policies on archiving social media content?
Every piece of content I push out ever is archived. We are a government agency. We're all looked at, and we're subject to open record and things like that. I have Google Documents. That's my go-to for archiving and for content organization. I have a Google document with a ridiculous number of tabs, and that I keep tabs of every single piece of content I ever push out. I encourage you to do the same. Allow your higher-ups to have viewing access, not editing access, so they can look at it, so they can stay up to date, and that also makes them feel like they're a part of what you're doing, and it's more of a team effort. But I love Google Documents for that sort of archival purposes.
The way we do it, I mean, I don't archive every single thing, but whenever a post or comment is deleted, I take a screenshot of it and I just save it in a Word document that's deleted, post or tweets or whatnot. But everything out there, that's not deleted, I mean, it exists on Facebook and Twitter, so we don't really feel the need to archive that stuff if it's already been pushed out and can be searched and found online somewhere. So.
I'm a little bit of a unique case. Turner itself, the group I work with, Turner Entertainment Network, which is TBS, TNT, and TCM, we use a content management system called Sprinkler that allows us to do real-time archiving, which is great. So I can go ahead and highlight posts that come in from all of my social media platforms as needs review, or here's an issue, or here's something that's unresolved, or hey, I followed up. And those will get stored on a server so that I can always access those later on. Many of you will never have the budget to have a content management system like that. And so I think Lauren's suggestion of using Google Docs is a good one. But do know that there are tools out there, content management systems, that allow you that kind of archiving on a server. And in fact, what's really nice about Sprinkler is that we can archive with persistent searches all of the keyword searches that come in from Twitter even. So you can get really granular and really in-depth with this archiving.
I want that so bad.
Fuji wanted to make sure I pointed out that we do have a list of management tools and archiving and recording tools in your resources page as well. So my final follow-up here is if any of y'all want to list any other management tools for social media that you want to recommend. I know you just mentioned Sprinkler.
For archiving.
Or just in general.
Hootsuite, that's the biggest one that I use, and Facebook now you can actually schedule posts without using Hootsuite, and I actually prefer to do that because you can see exactly how the Facebook post is going to be laid out. You're not just guessing.
And again, like Facebook loves Facebook, and they want you to use their site. So they will penalize you for using an outside source by pushing you further down in the newsfeed. And when these algorithm issues, it's hard enough to be seen. So use the native scheduling tools if you can. I love Hootsuite. Nikhil mentioned it earlier. I do a lot of active listening on social media. I monitor keywords all day, every day. Everything from hashtag Georgia, Georgia plus vacation, Georgia plus trip. I watch this stuff all the time to find opportunities for me to jump into the conversation and become of use to somebody. Hootsuite is marvelous for that, and it's great on mobile and on desktop.
And they actually have, it's a fairly new function, I think, with Twitter Analytics or Twitter Insights on there. And you can't do that inside of Twitter, but through Hootsuite you can. And I think that's a pretty valuable tool, too.
There's also, you can do some of that actually through Twitter now, twitter.analytics.com, or analytics.twitter.com, but not every. Yeah. Right. You can also use. I'm a huge fan of Hootsuite, and I'm an advocate of going that way. But if you don't like the layout of Hootsuite, if the streams are too confusing for you, then consider looking at TweetDeck, which is a Twitter product that also allows for scheduling.
Does anyone else have any questions today that you'd like to ask the panel? Kenya.
Me and Pam, my co-worker, we were talking about our social media sites, and we're on Facebook, and we have come to a dead halt. We don't know if we're going to pick it back up again. So how, if you're like, any kind of like messaging at all, how do you start it back up again? Do you say, hey, we're back, or just start?
So I'm going to repeat the question for everyone here. So Kenya is saying that they have a couple of social media accounts that have sort of died out. They haven't used them for a while. What do we do to jump back in? Do we bring up the fact that we've been silent for a while, or what would the strategy be for that?
Depends on opinion. I don't think you necessarily have to acknowledge the fact that you've been MIA. Maybe people might disagree with me. I would just say, just start up, but go full into it this time, and do the active listening. So now if you build it, they won't come. I love that he did that, because I always say that in presentations. You have to find them. So once you become active again, start that active listening, find your fans, and then they'll understand, oh, okay, they're here. I'm going to go talk to them now. You don't have to say, oopsies, we've been gone for a while. You've had stuff going on. People will understand. Just make sure now you're regular, you're active, and that you're there. You are woman, hear me roar. Or whatever agency, hear you roar.
And it sounds like it's also a really good time for you guys to consider what platforms you want to keep. So if you look at Facebook and you say, you know what, I just don't think this is worth it. It's either too much work, or I don't have images, or the algorithm is against me. Don't be afraid to just let that just delete it, just let it go. You tried it, it was a good attempt, it's not a failure, and you move on and you go to another area that you might have more luck with.
Good question over here.
Yes, my question was about clearance or approval. After you write tweets, do you have to get them cleared or approved by a supervisor or somebody else at the agency, or do you just go ahead and push it out?
It depends how new you are to it. You may want you may want a couple of sets of eyes on it when you're first starting out. I know when I first started, I really wanted my supervisor to see everything that I did, just because I didn't want to make the mistake of being new to the job and just pushing something out and then somebody getting mad at me. But now I'm at the point where I know the agency, I know the content, I know what's appropriate for the page. So I typically, unless I don't think something is worded quite right, I typically just go with it after proofreading it a couple of times.
That's a good point. Proofreading. So if you schedule out your Facebook or your tweets, I think it's good. So I am a human being, therefore I make many mistakes. So it's good right now. So since I'm the only one who posts on Facebook and Twitter, it's easy to have that consistent voice, but I do make mistakes every now and then. So I like to have another set of eyes to go over it to make sure that I didn't miss a period here, or that I'm using the proper your or the proper to or whatever. I mean, even though I know those rules, sometimes you're going really fast and you just miss it. So even though nobody's approving it, but I still like to have somebody look over my content, make sure that I'm saying what I'm thinking in my head. Sometimes that doesn't translate to what I'm typing.
Yes.
Oh, sure. Hi. In dealing with the new Facebook algorithm, I'm hearing a lot of, keep your posts really human, like that's a place to humanize, that somehow that type of content will rise to the top, and also visual content. Are there other strategies that y'all would recommend specifically for Facebook?
I would say that despite the fact that you have the luxury of a lot of text, I would follow Lauren's rule of keeping yourself to a sentence or two at most. I'm not so great about this because I get really excited about phone quotes, but I would say 140 characters is enough for Twitter. 140 characters should be almost enough for Facebook. If you run a little bit over, that's okay. But keep it short, keep it visually stimulating, and again, like you said, keep it human.
Did you get the mic?
Yeah.
We're all excited.
That's the main reason we have a blog, is if something is,
Right.
not appropriate for a press release, but it's too long for Facebook or Twitter, which we run into a lot with phishing reports and, a lot of things that are very in-depth. Well, just give a little preview of what is contained in the blog, a nice photo of, a giant fish that'll get somebody's attention, and then push them to the blog.
Facebook now is hurting you if you use the terms like or comment in your copy. If you are actively asking for things like that, they are hurting you because they're trying not to get people to manipulate others into liking their posts. They want you to pay money. But try not to use the words like or comment. They're saying that links are getting pushed up higher in the newsfeed. I still am of the complete belief that a photo is the most appealing piece of content on Facebook because of size. It takes up more space in the newsfeed. Facebook is a wonderful, wonderful website traffic referral source. It is our number 1 and number 3 traffic referral site to exploregeorgia.org. So take that advantage to say, if it's simply as I do things like 28 places to camp in North Georgia, boom, here's the link for the rest. So it's short, it's simple, it has a great photo that goes with it, and it's driving website traffic. That is the holy trifecta of Facebook posting.
And then we have another audience member wanted to ask if you have any strategies for what to do if you want to start social media for your agency, but the leader of your agency is not a fan of social media.
I would say, again, you have to really focus on building positive sentiment. So first of all, look at the organizational problems that you're dealing with when it comes to your consumers, or it comes to the voting, your citizens. What problems are they addressing with the agency, either through calls or through your website form? And then really think about how social media can help to fill some of the gaps in those problems, or help to kind of ease some of those problems. And then you can go to your executive, or you can go to your leader and say, hey, listen, we need to build positive sentiment. Here are the things that cause us to have negative sentiment. Here's how I think social can create or ease over that negative sentiment and start building positive sentiment. Focus on that and say, and you can keep it very simple too, and say, this is a human connection. I know social seems scary. I know it seems cold. I know it seems, very, very digital. For people who aren't digitally savvy, it's big and monolithic and annoying. But this is human. It's one person talking to another person, and I'm trying to help that person. And in the process of helping that person, I'm reflecting well on us, and I'm fixing some of these problems we know we have, even if we don't want to admit them.
And as far as customer service goes, it limits phone calls. It's a very, very valuable customer service tool. So I would definitely pitch that aspect of it. Do your research, provide a lot of examples of maybe similar organizations or people pages from within the industry, and show how valuable those have been to, private sector and public sector. Anything that might be relevant to SWAYM, if you can show real concrete examples of its worth, then definitely provide those.
Should have brought them here today. You see it online.
I think it's the last one. Yeah.
Y'all talked a little bit about hashtags on Twitter and Instagram too. And you'll see some posts on Twitter that like every word is hashtagged, and you see some that have no hashtags. What is a good number of? I know Twitter says no more than 2. Do y'all kind of subscribe to that, or?
I always just do 1 usually, if I do even include one.
Mm-hmm.
Twitter will also pick up keywords too. So if you do search a hashtag, like I see, for. I know my hunting examples have probably bored everyone to death, but like anything that we have that's related to turkey, we don't feel the need to hashtag turkey in it. Turkey is part of the subject or part of the tweet. I mean, if you search a hashtag turkey or hashtag keyword turkey, I mean, the chances are our post is going to be filtered in there somewhere. We like to keep our hashtags kind of unique to the agency or unique to the state. So Go Hunt Georgia can apply to deer hunting, turkey hunting, any type of hunting that's done in Georgia. So that's kind of what we do with it.
I think it's also important to keep in mind that we are, even though we're on social and it's very informal, we are still government agencies. And so there's some debate on this. I take the personal view of I still spell out every single word. I don't say seriously SRLY or whatever. I don't say seriously on anyway. But and so I think that applies with hashtags too. You still want to look professional. You still want to look like you have some authority, even though you're being friendly and you're being open. You still need to have some authority. So having every word hashtag doesn't provide a lot of authority. So we typically only do 1 or 2 hashtags. If there is something popular going on, like during the snowstorm, I hashtag snowed Atlanta or something, because that was a trending hashtag that people were looking at. So that I used, and so that's not typically something that I would hashtag, but it was relevant. And so it depends on the situation.
I think that's it for time. I want to thank all of you for taking time out of your day to come and share your experiences and expertise. If other people have questions, will you be available for a few minutes in the front?